I know we're all thinking about Christmas already, and that's okay to do. We have to start thinking about Christmas. You'll notice that our liturgy actually refers to this season, that we've entered into the season of the glorious birth of our Lord. Some people call this section the season of announcement, and that's kind of an informal title. I think it comes from the current edition of The Office, I think uses that term. But actually, our official liturgy books just say season of the glorious birth of our Lord. That doesn't mean it's Christmas yet. It's not the feast of the glorious birth of our Lord, but we're in the season. We're preparing for that. Kind of like how there's a feast of the exaltation of the Holy Cross and a season of the exaltation of the Holy Cross. And there's a distinction there. But even on a practical level, people are starting to think about what gifts they want to give their loved ones and how they're going to brace themselves for all the Christmas traffic that's just around the corner. But I wonder if we're thinking a little bit about what gift we're going to give Jesus this year. Right? Gift giving is a biblical theme in Christmas. Remember that the three wise men approached Jesus and gave him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So if those people who were not even Jewish traveled from far away to give Jesus gifts, then maybe we should think a little bit, his own people, we should think a little bit about what gift we're going to give him. And maybe we might want to consider this year giving Jesus the gift of time. So often we think of a gift as a physical object that we give someone, but time can also be a gift. And I'm not just talking about spending time in prayer, which is something that I hope that you do, because that's very important, but giving God the gift of waiting, which every single one of us, in one way or another, at various moments in our life, are called to do. We are called to wait. And that is such a prominent theme in this gospel. We see with Zechariah. Zechariah had to wait. Zechariah and Sarah both were waiting for a son. And they waited, or a child in general, and they never received one until they thought they weren't able to have a child. And that's when God said, your waiting is done. No more waiting. Your child is here. In the Old Testament, we hear about, or actually in the New Testament reading, we hear about Abraham. The reason we're bringing up Abraham today is because Abraham is a type of Zechariah. There's a lot of similarities between Abraham's story in the Old Testament and Zechariah's story in the New Testament. Both of them wanted children. Both of them couldn't have children. Both of them had a miraculous child when they were too old to have children. So many parallels. And the thing about Abraham is that Abraham was promised a child by God, and God wanted him to wait. He wanted Abraham to wait for the fulfillment of that promise. God promised the child to Abraham in Genesis chapter 12, and he didn't fulfill the promise until Genesis chapter 21. It was 9 chapters of waiting and waiting. And if you read that story from beginning to end, you feel it. You feel the pressure on Abraham, wondering when God is going to fulfill that promise. Waiting is not easy. It's difficult. The nation of Israel as a whole had to wait for the coming of the Messiah. Wait until the incarnation of our Lord. And while they were waiting, there were all sorts of difficulties. There was a civil war. There was the Babylonian captivity. There were all sorts of other wars with their neighbors. And then finally the Messiah comes, but not until after a long period of waiting. Waiting is everywhere in the Bible. And it's everywhere in our lives too. There's all sorts of waiting that we have to do. I think one of the things that the church, people laugh at the church about this. They laugh at the church. Maybe more than any other topic, they laugh at the church over the fact that the church still asks people to wait until they're married. The church still asks people to wait until they're married. And even though the research is showing now that waiting until we're married actually produces a stronger relationship and a longer lasting marriage, The world still doesn't seem to understand that. But why does the church ask us to wait? And not just in that area, but in other areas of our lives, we wait for a loved one to convert. We wait for God to answer our prayers. We wait for all sorts of things, and it's such a drag. But does it have to be? The world wants us to think that waiting is doing nothing, that waiting is a negative thing. I want something, and I don't have it yet. And that's what waiting is. But waiting is not nothing. Waiting is love. Waiting is how we give the gift of time to God. And waiting is how God perfects us, increasing our faith, our hope, and our love. Waiting is a gift, and it is not a waste of time. We hear a lot about those theological virtues in the reading today from Hebrews, talking about Abraham. Abraham is our father in faith. That's the title that he receives because of the struggle that he had waiting for our Lord. Another word for faith is trust. If we have faith in God, that means we have trust in God. That means we believe that God is going to fulfill his promises and he's going to do what's best for us. And one of the ways our faith gets tested and strengthened and proven is through waiting. Faith is in Abraham's title because he waited and trusted in our Lord for God to deliver on his promise to give him a child. Waiting increases our hope because what is hope? We heard hope referenced in the reading as well. Hope is our belief in the things that we don't have yet. It's our belief that what we want is real and what we want will be given to us even though it is not yet in our hands. Hope is strengthened and revealed through waiting. And what is love? Love is proven through waiting. We reveal what we love, and we reveal how much we love those things and those persons by waiting for them. Some people will wait 24 hours outside of a movie theater to be the first group of people to watch a movie that they love. Waiting reveals what we love. And when we wait for God, we reveal our love for God. When we wait for the person that we love, we reveal our love for them. Waiting is not nothing. The devil wants us to think that waiting is nothing but wasting our time. It is anything but that. Waiting is the gift of time. It is offering our time to God as an act of love. And we do that because we trust him. We do that because we know he first loves us. He wants what's best for us. And God will always provide what we need. God is worth waiting for.